remind people this is a Christian country and people are welcome to come here, but they're welcome to come here to take on board Christian values, British values, the English language, and they're not here to convert or revert us to a false god.
But they do want to do that, and so do Christians. Christians want to go to Africa and turn people into Christians. So
we want to spread the truth.
Yeah, but can you see the problem is that they think they're also spreading the truth?
Yes, but we say no. This is a Christian country.
So what do you do about that? How
Stop
do you say to
Mohammedans?
Hello and welcome to Fox and Father with me, the Fox, and him,
the Father.
Thank you for joining us this week. Before I kick off, I'd like to thank Pete, who's a watcher who sent us this lighter.
Oh, how nice.
It's really good. But
that's a lovely lighter.
It's an amazing lighter. I'm still trying to work out how it works, but I think I've got there in the end. Just need some fluid for it now.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But thank you very much. Right.
On the note of thanks, I'll thank KJ Pipes for this as well, sending this through and an Instagram follow. I appreciate it.
You're starting to get free pipes.
It's a nice one too. You put the little white bit there as a sign of the collar, the clerical collar.
It's a dog collar, yeah. Other than the other sign. Huh? Black on the outside, white in the middle.
Oh,
sorry.
Wow, you always get racist.
I can't help it.
We've not even been on air 5 minutes and you're already being racist.
I can't help it, Cal. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's unconscious. Right, before we kick off, how are you doing?
Very well.
You're always well.
Lovely Easter, very packed. Like lots on. Church was great. We had lovely services. We had lovely lunch afterwards and stuff. Where are we now? Second week of Easter. Yeah, it's been pretty good. I'm going on holiday tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, an actual holiday.
What do you mean a holiday? You're not visiting churches?
No, my last holiday was Skiathos.
Was it?
Yeah. So I'm going to go and have a break post-Easter and unwind. But yeah,
can we find out where you're going?
Yeah, I'm going to Denver.
Denver, Colorado?
Yeah, I've never been there. It was cheap flights, so I figured I'll go and check it out.
I love it. Yeah. Good for you.
And you're just back from holiday. How was that?
I'm just back from skiing with the kids. Well, nothing's broken. That's it. My sons are amazing. Winston hadn't skied before.
Right.
And, he's just fearless. So that was amazing. And Eugene had skied before and, is competitive and like Eugene is. So it was great to spend time with them. I loved it. And yeah, back now and trying to sort out all of the deadlines of life.
Did it relax you at all?
It did. Okay. Yeah, doing stuff does relax me, but I'm definitely...
Doesn't seem to have lasted long though.
No. Yeah. Day one back was pretty full on. Yeah. People are quite... I've noticed people are very thoughtful in their timing of when they want to make demands on you and stuff like that. But it is life, and it is the path that I didn't choose, and I'm really resentful of being on.
You've been directed down this path for a reason.
I'm directed down this path for a reason, and it's killing me.
What's going on with the mayoral?
Oh, the mayoral, yeah. Well, they're saying that we have our nominations were not correct. We're saying they are. And they're disagreeing with us.
Are they giving you time to make them correct?
No.
So there's no leeway there at all.
No leeway there at all. Apparently, there's.
But you had extra signatures.
We had extra signatures on every form. Yeah.
Right.
So, do we want to have a big fight with Sadiq Khan? Probably.
This is like this is political persecution. It's like saying you will not be allowed to stand. We will not have you standing. It shows fear.
I wonder whether it's also because of the change in the voting system that. He might not win by as much as everyone thinks because it's first past post and it's so
you don't
voter
get
ID
preference this time. Oh, because of see.
So
voter ID.
And I imagine with London's current cultural makeup, I'm sure some of the people in London don't have voter ID.
Well, he's imported his voter base, so it's kind of secured his win for the next few. Elections.
He was talking about, did you see him yesterday talking about London celebrates European values?
Does it?
It's like...
Which values are they?
Stabbing people lots everywhere with machetes. Are those European values? He's sort of appealing to the Remainer crowd. He's kind of saying it's a nod and a wink for when he tries to take over the Labour Party, and which he will try and do at some point.
#rejoin.
#rejoin.
There's no one more bitter than a Ramona, is there?
No.
Like the attacks that come online, you get the Palestinian flag people, they're really hostile because they just hate England and hate English people. But the Remainers, the Ramonas, they resent us for winning. They hate democracy itself.
Why? Well, yeah, that's the James Woods line. If you scratch a liberal, you'll find a fascist underneath.
Oh, yeah.
Why are they like that, do you think?
I don't know, because they're used to winning. They hate the fact that they lost. None of them thought it. I didn't even think it was going to happen in a million years. But it did. The British people spoke, and they just can't get their heads around it. So they are not the British people.
Why don't we have more referenda on stuff?
I mean, I don't believe in direct democracy. I think the idea of referenda on everything is messy because you fall into the tyranny of the majority, don't you? Like the whole point of a representative democracy is that we elect people to represent us, or so we thought.
Yeah, but they don't. They just represent the whims of the establishment and the elites. But Ticey's promising a referendum on net zero.
Is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, bless him.
Until hope not. Tell him not to.
Yeah. I love it. The funniest thing about this is they are vetting his candidates, but he's admitting it. He's like, they're helping us with our vetting process. Like, they are communists. They're bullies. They hate this country. And you're letting them dictate who should stand in your party?
There's such a big market for someone to talk common sense, and there's more candidates, and they're actually quite funny. One called himself a pastafarian and wore a colander on his head. It's like, that's funny.
Sack him.
That's funny. So then he decides...
Can't you guys, like you're a party, can't you recruit all these people that Richard's just sacked?
I should do, really.
Like Bo from Lotus Eaters. He's fantastic.
I don't want to fight Richard. Because I don't see the point. If he wants to go out on his own. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we'll come in and do it next time with a much less of a sort of. The problem is, he then later in the day decided to take a pop, or Lee Anderson did a few days ago, to take a pop at Gypsies.
Oh, I saw that video. Was fantastic.
And I'm just like, so. You can take a pop at Gypsies, and I know why you can take a pop at Gypsies.
But you saw Richard's face. He was like, oh no. What are you doing?
But why do you think you can take a pop at Gypsies?
I don't know.
Because they're white.
Okay.
That's why. So you couldn't take a pop at, you can't take a pop at people chanting from the river.
But they weren't taking a pop at Gypsies. They were saying, we love the real Gypsies. There's these thieving scoundrels that we hate.
Yeah. It's such politicsing. It's so boring. It just needs people just standing up and going, no. Anyway, we'll get on to our discussions. I have an envelope for you.
How does this work?
This works is I've got an envelope for you, which you don't know about, but you can probably guess because I always try and make it religious just to annoy you.
You make it relevant.
And then you have one for me, and then Theon, the redoubtable Theon. Theon, come on. The redoubtable Theon has provided story number 3. So
he can say whatever he likes because they can't hear him, so it's fine.
You can hear him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
We'll have to stop that. We'll have to mute him.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm sure you'll be thrilled with this one this week because you said how calm and happy you were.
Yeah. The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, says, I wish a blessed Eid al-Fitr to all Muslims celebrating today. At the start of Ramadan, I had the joy of attending an iftar at Canterbury Mosque. At least it wasn't in the cathedral this time. I was met with such hospitality and kindness, things that we so often encounter in Muslim communities across the UK. Our society is greatly enriched by their presence and contribution, and I give thanks for the continuing Christian and Muslim partnerships working together for the good of all.
What? That's the reason to celebrate. What are you doing?
I mean, the guy's an idiot. The point of Christianity isn't to work together for the good of all with people that worship false gods. The point of Christianity is to say there is one true God, the Trinitarian God of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We recognize him to be the truth and the way. And we have to go by the words that he gave us. He revealed the scriptures to us and said that there is one way. There is a very narrow gate, and he is that way. There's only one way to the Father. It's Jesus Christ. He tells us that we have to avoid false gods. We have the first commandment, thou shalt have no other gods but the true God. And our God is a jealous God. And we shouldn't have idolatry. This is what this is. This is him. This is Justin Welby saying all gods are the same. All religions are the same. This is universalism. And what he's doing there is ignoring the greatest commandments of loving God and loving your neighbor.
But he is trying to love his neighbor.
No, because if you love your neighbor, you want your neighbor, like we said last week, to go to heaven, right? And if we know the way to get to heaven is to repent of our sins, to be baptized in water and the Holy Spirit, and to have faith in our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, then we should be leading everyone to Jesus Christ. And he's not leading them to Jesus Christ. He's saying, you guys are fine where you are. Essentially saying, it's okay for you guys to go to hell.
Let's assume for a second that you're right and he's not just being really nice. And
nice is a problem.
No, I get nice is a problem. And also I probably and secretly agree with you. But let's assume that he's trying to tackle the problem which is real.
What, of Islamism?
Well, look, whether you like it or not, we have a country which is becoming more and more Muslim.
I do not like it.
Well, okay, I get it. But you might not like it, but it's a reality, right?
It's a reality that we need to change.
By doing what?
Good question. Promote the truth, promote Christianity, stop pandering to the Islamists, stop pretending that all ideas and all faiths and all gods are equal, remind people this is a Christian country and people are welcome to come here. Well, I suppose if people are welcome to come here, but they're welcome to come here to take on board Christian values, British values, the English language, and they're not here to convert or revert us to a false god.
But they do want to do that, and so do Christians. Christians want to go to Africa and turn people into Christians. So
sure. We want to spread the truth.
Yeah, but can you see the problem is that they think they're also spreading the truth?
Yes, but we say no. This is a Christian country.
So what do you do about that? How
do you say
Mohammedans? It's not the importing of the Muslim people that I think is the problem.
Okay,
I think it's the fact that we already have a huge Muslim
we've already
population,
done so much importing,
and we've had their feedback and the polling over Gaza. It's more the fact that there's quite a lot of Muslim people here already.
Mm. That is
and
a
then
problem, you're right.
You see the polling that almost half, I think it is, of Muslims are supportive of Hamas
in the UK.
In the UK,
that's shocking.
And 1 in 4 doesn't think that they committed a terrorist atrocity.
I mean, if you can observe people committing terrorist atrocities and still not believe that it's a terrorist atrocity, that suggests that you support their actions, therefore you support terrorism. So and these people that support Hamas support a prescribed terrorist organization.
But the difficulty we got is that we, for thousands of years, the religions have both been quite strong and have, pushed one way or another. But Christianity is in such a dangerous place, such a weakened place that what is Welby to do?
Well, he's to stop pandering. He's to stop being a strong Christian, saying this is the truth as has been revealed to us by God himself. He doesn't have to say Happy Eid Mubarak or whatever. He can just say Happy Easter. Like, he doesn't have to step across that Rubicon. What's the point of doing that?
Well, I think he's probably trying to create and promote harmony, isn't he?
That's not his job. His job is to save souls by leading them to Christ. It's a simple job. Like, he's not a politician. It's not his job to create harmony in the country.
That's a really good point, which I hadn't thought about exactly.
He thinks he's the opposition or something. It's strange. I honestly don't get what the point of that is, to say Happy False Religion Day. Because he's not going to say Happy whatever the Satanists celebrate, is he? It's the same with the Royal Family put out.
Yeah, the Satanists get a really bad time, I think.
But not even just the Satanists. Like, it was spring equinox last week or a couple of weeks ago, whatever. I didn't see the Archbishop of Canterbury or the
Down
Royal
at
Family
Stonehenge
saying,
having a waft around.
Happy equinox to the pagans. Well, why are the pagans left out and the Muslims aren't? Like,
well,
where do you draw the line?
Because I think there are probably fewer pagans in the UK than there are Muslims.
So it's about appealing to the majority?
I'm trying to give it its best flavour. And the best flavour I can give it is the fact that he knows that there's going to be a major problem, a major cultural problem with the differences between the Christian values and Muslim orthodoxy.
Right.
That there's going to be a big problem, and he's trying to strike a deal.
But these Mohammedans aren't going to take on board Christian values by him saying, "Oh, I went to a mosque; it was lovely. The people were very nice." I don't see how it's going to work.
But we've seen more showings of Islam, haven't we? We've seen the guy on the bridge call to prayer. A friend of mine I spoke to this morning said they were woken by a call to prayer, and that they've lived in the same house for 15 years. They've never heard it before.
Absolutely ban it. Outlaw it.
ban it.
Yes.
How does that work with free speech?
Free speech isn't absolute. I don't think we should have. I don't think we should enable or allow people to support terrorist organizations such as Hamas. I think we should actually look at repatriation. If people are in this country and they have more than one nationality or citizenship, we should say, well, if you guys support a terrorist organization, go over there.
Yeah,
you're not welcome here.
I think we should be firmer. I just don't know how firm we should be, because I think there are many more Muslims in England than people think there are, or even government statistics say there are. So we're probably within a, not more than one, two, or maybe 3 generations. What would you say before this is a predominantly Muslim country?
Yeah, current projections show by 2050 this will be a predominantly Islamic country.
Yeah,
and it's about the question of, do we want that or not?
How would we change it? We just, obviously you could be firmer. You say if you're a foreign criminal of any religion, actually, it doesn't matter. You're out.
Yes. Yeah, any foreigner that commits a crime should be deported. Absolutely. We should stop importing Mohammedans. We should, if we want to take on board refugees and help people in other countries, we should help people from Christian countries or people that are Christians who are persecuted in Islamic countries. So we bring people on board that have our faith and have our values. And
yes, that's a good idea. So if you're going to import somebody, and you need, the mantra is we've got to import for GDP because we won't breed, then why don't we go over to Nigeria and
northern Nigeria,
save some of the Christians that are being massacred by the Mohammedans?
The same as Southern Sudan.
Mohammedans.
Yeah, that's what they are. Northern Nigeria, Southern Sudan, Artsakh, Armenia, all these places around the world that we don't help people because they're Christian, and we don't help Christians just as we don't help white people. It's always got to be brown Muslims. That's the racist immigration policy.
Yeah, it is. I don't know how they managed to convince, to turn up in a country and just accuse everyone of being a racist straight away it's brilliant. It's divine. But you're sort of advocating for turning Great Britain into a kind of Israel for Christianity.
That's what Great Britain always was. It was always a British nation. It was the heart of Christendom. We spread the Christian faith all around the world, including America.
So do we need to take the measures that Israel have taken?
We need a reconquista.
Okay, how does that look? I like this.
Well, what did the Spanish do when the Islamists tried to take over Spain?
You tell me. I'm not.
Well, they booted them out and said, no, this is a Christian country. You're welcome to come here if you want to become a Christian and become Spanish. But otherwise, no, go.
When did that happen?
Oh, gosh, I don't know the year, but that's a long time ago.
Well, that's actually, but what would a modern version of that look like?
Well, we need a strong leader. We need a strong politician. Okay, do you want to stand on a Christian platform?
Can you imagine that? Like, how's your stress levels today, Loz? It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm just going to go and do a little Christian rally in Tower Hamlets. It'd be like, nah.
Well, I'll come down with you.
Yeah, I know you would. I think we do need. I mean, the Dawkins thing is fascinating, isn't it? Did you hear Dawkins say that he's sort of, Yeah,
he's facing regrets, isn't he?
Yeah, he understands that whether you're a Christian or not, the values that built the country are Christian, and when you dismantle them, just how just under the surface, how vile and disgusting people truly are.
And he's responsible for this.
He is
one of the major leaders of the atheist movement who said we don't need Christianity. We can have a secular space. This could be a secular liberal democracy. We don't need the faith. All faiths are wrong. And he's realized actually there's no such thing as a vacuum in nature. Nature abhors a vacuum and it will be filled by something. And he's stripped Christianity out of the public square, or helped to. And he's seen what's replacing it. It's like, oh, wait a minute. No.
That's a good thing, right?
It's a good thing that he's found the error of his ways and he's repenting of the error of his ways. Hopefully he'll fully embrace Christ and not just have this superficial, yes, well, Christian values are good. But where those values come from, why are they good? They're objectively good because they come from God's good order and his divine law. But he's on the path, at least, to redemption, which is a good thing to see.
Yeah.
But he has caused a lot of this mess.
Yeah. The idea that secularism, what I never understand is the fact that I know the sort of nastiness I'm capable of in my own head, and I know the nastiness a lot of people are capable of in their own head. So why would you think that human beings would come up with a better religion than, Christianity?
Well, it's because this stupid idea of, we all have a moral compass. We all know what's right and what's wrong. We all, how do we know that? Where do we get that from?
Yeah, also, I've met a lot of people with some really not moral compasses.
Yeah.
Or very broken moral compasses,
yeah,
which we would all have because we're all, life is hard for all of us. So you're thinking that Welby is just, it's a pointless gesture and he's politicizing his job.
Unless we want to start oppressing women, making sure they cover their entire bodies except for their faces and not allowing them to drive and stoning people who are homosexual or pushing them off roofs. And unless we want to barbarically slaughter all animals that we're going to eat, and which we're pretty much already doing. Unless we want to go down this path and embrace Mohammedanism, great. But if we don't, then we have to adhere to the truth, to the Christian faith. People like him who purport to be Christian leaders need to stop pandering to false gods.
Do you think that it's an effort to try, because they find wokeism even worse, that they go any religion is better?
No, because these people are woke. Welby's just as woke as the rest of them, right?
Yeah.
So I think they embrace Islam and wokeism, and that's the problem. They should embrace just one truth, one objective truth.
It is easier that way.
Yeah.
But I just don't know how we get out of this problem, because we're going to have essentially parts of the country that operate in Sharia law and parts of the country that operate in UK law.
We're already there, aren't we?
Yeah.
There are places in this country that operate under Sharia.
We're going to do a documentary about it, actually.
Really?
We're going to, because they say that there are no-go places in Britain. So we're going to go and see if that's true. So that will do it. Shall I have my envelope?
Would you like an envelope?
Yes, please, darling. Father. Bastard. Right. What do I have? Gift from the Calves. What have I got? Oh, God.
Don't blaspheme.
Sorry. This is the... okay. Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner's daughter comes out as trans during her grandfather's funeral. Serafina Rose, 15, announced her new boy's name, Finn, whilst appearing with her head shaved at a memorial service for her grandfather over the weekend. She told the memorial service, which was streamed live on Facebook,
as you do,
"Hello, my name is Finn Affleck. Her father, Ben Affleck, is now married to Jennifer Lopez. His own child, Emmy, is non-binary and uses they/them pronouns."
What are the chances?
Did you see the meme that said, does anyone have anything to say?
No.
And it said a funeral. It's brilliant, actually.
Was it something along the lines of you're trans over my dead body?
No, it's this. It's I was sent it the other day, but actually it is entirely appropriate. It's a funeral for anyone who wants to see it, and it goes, "Has anyone got anything to say?" And this little voice from the side goes, "I'm trans."
But I think it's so right. Julia Hartley-Brewer was good on this, wasn't she? It's like, it's me, it's all about me, it's all about me. It's the narcissism of the whole thing.
It is narcissism, but okay. So we might talk about the Gids thing, but why show business? I've got an even darker view on this. Okay. I reckon showbiz people who are actors and various are so conceited and narcissistic themselves that the idea that they could produce an offspring who was even better than they were at something might take some of the light off them, the great shining light off the big star, is so grotesque and egregious to them that they trans their children to make sure that they confuse them and mess them up.
Oh, gosh.
That's how dark I am.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, why is it lots of showbiz people then? Why are they all non-binary? I mean, who's that one? Megan Fox has got 3 boys dressed as girls.
Yeah, because they're also lost, aren't they? They've lost the truth, they've lost their faith, and so they're sticking to whatever they see around them, and all they see around them is wokeness and or Satanism. And so they're embracing one or the other. So much of Hollywood is satanic, and that part of it that isn't is woke, which is kind of satanic under the cover, really.
Well, I think wokeism is Satanism in a way. But
it's just not overt, is it?
But you still haven't answered my question. Why showbiz people? I mean, I know Hollywood is really rubbish, but you would have thought it would be prevalent in, massive wealth and all of that sort of stuff. Is it because Hollywood is where these ideas are tried out? Because it's so free and easy and liberal?
I don't know. It's almost like there's some kind of liberal agenda, because this is where all the propaganda comes from, the Netflix and the gold screen and the big screen. And it's like, it's trying to put the message across to the populace to say this is appropriate, this is good. I don't know.
Why would you want to put it across to the populace? As Graham Linehan said, you don't tell the child they can be born in the wrong body because they'll believe you.
Yeah. Well, I think there's something bigger and darker behind it, which is, I think it is satanic. I think it is the enemy saying, look, we're going to break down the family. We're going to break down proper values and good order. And one way to do it is to say that, well, young children can be in the wrong body. You can mutilate them and castrate them, and that's a good thing because you're being nice to them and you're affirming them. And it's actually destroying their chances of reproducing and
everything.
Yeah, it's destroying their lives.
But that's pure Satanism to me. It's like there are certain taboos in the world, and one of the taboos is that you don't harm children. You know, and we've always looked upon that. You know, you can't in the West take a really principled stance against female genital mutilation in Muslim countries, and then say it can also teach you that you might be born in the wrong body. That's just insane, illogical, satanic madness.
Yeah, there's no consistency there, is there?
No.
There's a massive blindness. The FGM is wrong when them lot do it because they're savage. But when we do it, it's fine because we're affirming.
Yeah, it's the language around it which I find really horrible. But also, why do it at a funeral? Because maybe subconsciously does this confused little girl, who hasn't been parented properly either, has this confused little girl subconsciously realizing that by announcing the beginning of a change in her, which is going to be irreversible, that she is also at her own funeral at the same time.
Wow, that's dark.
Dark or deep? Yeah.
I thought it was just that he can no longer answer back. It's the only place she could speak where no one can retaliate. So there's no rebuttal. So it's like she's dominating her grandfather and his politics and his worldview.
Oh, right. So you think it was deliberately done because of something to do with the grandfather?
Yeah, I think he probably would have said, no, this is, I love you. You're my granddaughter. You'll always be my granddaughter. You're not in the wrong body. You are who you are, how God made you, or something along those lines. And she's standing there over his dead body saying, I am now a boy. There's nothing you can do or say about it.
Oh, that's even darker than my version, which is, that's pure Gnosticism and anger. Why do that to the most vulnerable kids? I just can't get my head around it. There's so many things that I think we're going to turn around on.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to look back on in absolute huge shame.
But there'll be no more consequences.
It just seems to be getting worse, though.
Yeah.
Where's the hope in that? We've got the Cass report today, but
yeah,
where's
the hope in that? That's a good question. Ben Affleck and whatever the mother's name is, they're
Jennifer Garner,
right?
Both good actors.
Are they?
They seem quite sane as well. For actors,
but they're going to be responsible for this. Maybe not in this life, but they will be responsible for this. And that's something they should be considering.
It's when our legal guys speak to the parents of these kids who are part of this judicial review. It's just, they were really troubled afterwards. They really say it's a very, very, very stressful and horrible experience. And the parents are really, really feel dreadful and guilty and lost. And forget faith for a minute, how the state wouldn't clamp down on that and just say, absolutely not, stop it right now.
I think they've tried to, haven't they? Too little, too late, but they've clamped down on Tavistock and they've clamped down on education and said you've got to stop affirming children. But the schools are saying, no, we're going to continue. There's a story just this week of schools, I think it was a report in the Telegraph, schools are still changing the gender of children and not letting parents know. And so parents turn up on parents' evening and the teacher is referring to the young girl as a he. And the parent's like, wait, what's going on here? This is wicked.
They need that. Why? But again, why are those schools not just immediately shut? The doors shut to the school's closed and review panel brought in. It's just got to stop. It's not a question of let's get some more guidance and let's think about that.
No,
to go behind a parent's back and tell a child a lie deliberately to remove that child from its parents' trust and to insert a different trust and a nihilistic satanic trust bond between someone who wishes that child evil, and it is to me beyond the pale. I'm actually getting impatient with how slow we are to turn around and fight back against this bollocks, because it's destroying people's lives on a daily basis, and it's absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, you're right. It's no longer good enough for the Equalities Ministers to say, well, we'll give you some more guidance schools. The schools minister needs to say, no, that school is done. You are crossing the line. That's a safeguarding concern. You're indoctrinating young children to a harmful ideology. You're done. You're finished. Close the school. You're right. Close the school. But also parents,
close the school.
Take your kids out of those schools.
Yeah, but parents don't have the courage. Parents are still in shock from the fact that their kids were being taught this crap in the first place.
But it's not the state's job. It's the parents' job. They have responsibility for their children. Children are a gift from God are bestowed upon parents. And we hand them over to the state and say, you take care of them, you teach them, you give them values. No, that's a parent's job.
It is a parent's job to do that. So I get that. And the parent does do that. And, you've got a weirdly short time in order to try and, set your kids off in the right direction.
Yeah.
But it was the assumption of parents that schools were helping in that in loco parentis, that schools were sort of upholding, and if anything, maybe the school was a bit stricter than the parents in a way. But that's just inverted so massively.
And again, this is down to the enemy, and this is down to Marxism. Back in the day, most of the schools in this country were Christian because the schools were set up by the church. The first state schools were all church schools. And then eventually we secularized it. We took Christ out of there. And so what filled that void? Well, wokeism filled that void. And so these kids are being indoctrinated with a harmful ideology because everyone wants a so-called liberal progressive society. And this is what you get. You get young boys becoming young girls and young girls becoming young boys, and their whole lives ruined because you wanted to take the hymns and the Lord's Prayer out.
It's not even exactly. They wanted to take it. Why though? Why would I just don't understand? I mean, I can understand people hating God. I can understand people going, well, if God created, people who hate their lives, and someone goes, I hate my life and my life is really terrible, and therefore if there's a God, I hate him too because my life is dreadful. I can understand what people doing that. What I can't understand is that there aren't enough good people in the education system to turn around and go, you do realize this is what we're doing to these children is going to be seen as a crime in short order. Where are those leaders? And that's why the politicians are getting I just have lost all faith in all politicians as well. It's like, if a politician can't stop that after 14 years in government, a conservative politician, then you don't deserve to be called a conservative politician. You don't deserve to be in apparent charge of anything. To me, it's like parents should be going. It should be sort of mild, controlled anarchy at this level. That's required.
The teachers are indoctrinated in teacher training. I remember my teacher training was all very liberal, hyper.
Didn't work on you though, did it, mate?
Well, no. I was part of the exception that proves the rule, right? There are some good.
I would not have liked to have been your woke instructor, Calvin. That's not very diverse or inclusive.
No, but I think back then I was probably more liberal than I am now. I was of the mindset that we had to be politically neutral. I wasn't of the mindset that we had to be overtly Christian. And none of the kids knew my beliefs. Some of them actually thought I was a Mohammedan because they were, and I didn't encroach on their belief structure because I was so politically neutral in the classroom.
Right.
Which, now...
You're also not the easiest man to read sometimes.
Thank you. I take this compliment.
It is a good compliment. I wish the same was true of me.
But the teachers are indoctrinated because they go through woke teacher training, and they're told, if a kid's behaving poorly, it's not bad behavior, it's a form of communication. You've got to gather what they're trying to. So there's no discipline, so there's no behavior for learning. But the politicians are even worse because they've come through and imported this indoctrination. So the new Sex Education Act that came in that said sex education has to go from secondary school down to primary school, the ones where we see 5-year-olds being taught about masturbation and all this kind of stuff, that came under a conservative government. So they're not solving the problem because they're creating the problem. And it's because our politicians themselves aren't Christian and have no moral compass. The vast majority of them, there's a handful of them that are, but the conservatives aren't conservative, which is why we're in this mess.
Yeah.
So get rid of the teachers, get rid of the politicians.
That's sort of what I feel.
Yeah.
It's I'm not interested in politics anymore. No. I'm not interested in who's in charge of the country because you're going to make it 50 times worse. Whoever's like, Conservatives will make it dreadful, and Labour will just add on the extra bit of rub it in shit for you to make it even worse. Sorry, I swore jar. But it's like people now must surely be waking up to the fact that these bastards aren't on your side.
Right.
They've got an agenda, and they're trying to impose that agenda on your children to brainwash them into believing that. And I think they're brainwashing them into abject depression, actually. So they're just easier to control. That's what I think they're actually doing.
We know this. We know we can't trust politicians. We know we need a smaller state. We know we can't trust these public school teachers because we know they're all indoctrinated and they're all woke. So again, I put another blame on parents because it's ultimately their responsibility. Stop sending your kids to these places.
So how do we put a message out to parents? And what do we say to parents? You've got to
stop parenting.
Yeah,
get your kids off the internet.
I know, but you can't get your kids off the internet. I had to pay money to get my kids off the internet by taking them to another country and putting them on a mountain where there was no phone reception.
Take the phones off them.
But then they just want. It's
difficult, isn't it?
My sister says what she does, or someone told her what they did, was they put all of the really great reads, great books, out of reach in their house.
Yeah.
And they put all of the crap books within easy reach.
Right.
And the kids are desperate to get to the top shelf to find out what's going on the top shelf. So, I think there's a bit more. Yeah. If you take away a phone, you're just making that child love it more.
It doesn't matter how much they love it if they don't have it. Because the problem is that they have it.
So looking forward to meeting your children.
We know that the people that create these addictive apps and create these addictive pieces of technology do not give their children access to them. The Bill Gateses of the world, all these multi-billionaires, they don't have smartphones and tablets because they know how addictive it is. And we know it damages children's brains. We know they're flooded with subversive content from China that's going to damage the way they think. So it's harmful. We don't give children things that are harmful.
Yeah. And another thing that someone said to me was, you don't give children dominion over anything.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you give a child an iPad or a phone and they're in charge of it, they say it really messes with your neurodevelopment or something.
Yeah.
That's my, expert medical offering. I mean, are we going to get to a time when people look back on this in horror?
Yeah, for me, it's simple. If you want your child to end up gay or thinking they're in the wrong body or hating themselves, hating their culture, their country, their faith, give them unfettered access to the internet. Let China, Russia, let all the enemy hostile states feed them constant information that's going to be harmful to them, subversive to their way of life. If you want your child to grow up loving themselves, loving God, loving you, loving their country, read to them, encourage them to read, take away as much technology as possible. And I'm not a Luddite. I'm a computer scientist.
No, I know. I think I feel guilty because literally the only way I can, I just don't like nagging that much. So I took the kids away and I just put them in a different environment. And I see it actually as weirdly now, because all of our lives are so infused with technology that the only way one can really manage it is to choose when you're going to be on holiday from it.
Can you compromise? Can you, I mean, not you specifically, but take away devices at the end of the day, put them somewhere else so children don't have access to the internet overnight and they're not constantly up, they're not constantly checking, they're not constantly being bullied and intimidated and or persuaded to change themselves in fundamental ways.
They're very secretive of I steal my children's phones. I used
Why
to.
Do you have to? You're the grown up.
No, but I don't.
7 p.m.
I don't mean
they go here now.
Yeah, I don't mean steal them, but I used to have a clone of their phones, and but now I just occasionally go in, and I even feel guilty just going in and looking at just checking there's not something sort of evil going on.
I can't go on about it often enough because I was a safeguarding officer, and the stuff I saw I will never forget.
Really,
like children go through so much. Yeah. Like, I didn't realize how much they go through.
Oh,
and it's awful, and they're awful to each other. But we encourage it we support it, we enable it.
Yeah. So actually, what we're talking about is a much deeper whole society disease.
Yeah.
where we don't take the family seriously enough. And again, we come back to the thing of the fact that the family is the best system to raise children in.
Yes. A good, loving mother, a good, loving father is the ultimate protective measure for society.
And yet it's hated by the wokies because they just want to be given, they just want to be reassured. They want to be jabbed by the state, paid for, fined if they go too fast. You know, they, looked hard. It's like,
well, you know why? It's because we don't grow up. We live in a culture where we no longer become adults. So we're constantly looking for someone to take care of us. We want the state to look after. We saw this in COVID. Help us, tell us what to do, tell us how to live our lives, rather than taking personal responsibility, because we're not adults anymore.
I know, but the people who wrote the American Constitution, like, were teenagers.
Yeah, they grew up earlier.
It's like
we grew up later.
You come up with the best document ever, and you're a teenager, essentially, with how old was he? John Adams was 19 or something. I think
Washington was like 26 or something. But yeah, they were very young. But they understood their responsibility, not just to their family, but to their community and to their nation.
Yeah.
Our only responsibility these days is to ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a bad thing. But I can feel it even in my own life, It's really sad. I certainly think COVID did something to us all as well. That period of being locked away, I think, has made some people frightened to come back out as well. I think they say something like 5 million people didn't go back to work.
That's so sad, isn't it?
After COVID, so that's 5 million lives.
It did do something to us, but it also highlighted a greater problem that already existed. This paternalism that we're all looking for. Helper, a savior, because we've forgotten there's only one savior.
Yeah. All right, it was still massively cheerful so far. I wonder what's in Theon's.
I'm sure Theon's given us a great story.
Lord. Oh, Lord. What's he got? Please, Lord. Oh. Alison Pearson.
Who we love.
Who I am in love with.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an issue.
All right.
But you
always have to go too far, don't you?
Well, how can you not be in love with her?
She is great.
Anyway, the NHS is killing us. It is the enemy of Britain. Being British, born British, should not be a death sentence. But as long as we go on believing in the National Health Service, it will be.
Wow.
That's what she's saying. So she wrote a piece today talking about the fact that the NHS have some of the worst health outcomes in the developed world.
Yep.
Is the highest cancer rates in the G7.
Goodness me.
Waiting list, pre-cancer treatment diagnosis, from diagnosis to first treatment, 64 days.
Yeah.
And it costs £170 billion
per year,
which is unsubsidised 70% of the British tax burden.
Yeah, I think it's 160, but still, it's it's an inordinate amount, and it is like you often say, it's a country centred around a hospital or a health system rather than the other way around. It's too big; it doesn't work anymore. We need to either reform it or defund it.
It's. I think I've said this before. I can't remember whether I've said it to you. I have a feeling that it was the left's. The health service was the left's revenge for us winning World War II.
In what way?
Because they were like, we want socialism in this country. So what we'll do is we'll build a health service which will consume so much of the spending within the country, and can inflate to such an enormous size that it'll actually become bigger than the country.
Yeah, it is bigger than the country. The reason this country's in such a mess is because the money we spend on the NHS and the money we've put aside for pensions for the boomers, that we can't afford either.
Yeah.
And it's crippled us. This is why we have no border. This is why we have no military, because everything goes on NHS and pensions.
But why is it performing so dreadfully? And, to say...
Well, like she says, it's managers organising a system for managers. It's managers managing managers. That's it. It's not about healthcare.
So how would, if I put you in charge of reforming the NHS tomorrow, what would you do? First few things. Sack all the managers.
Yeah, bring the wardens back, make it like the matrons, put it back to a system of a matriarchy, make sure that everyone's focus is on healthcare and well-being, on holistically, osteopathically, looking after the whole person, not just the symptoms, and not just on pharmaceuticals, not just on how we can make money or what we can pass on.
I think everyone who doesn't have direct contact with patients should have to reapply for their job and explain what their job is.
Yeah.
Because I have this sort of nightmare that there's someone who's just sat at home playing Xbox at the moment who's probably a manager in an NHS hospital, but no one's realised, and no one's worked out whether they've turned up to work or not, or knows their name, and they're just drawing a state salary off it. I think it's called by some people GB. When I was at our former employer, GB News, I was writing my monologue one week, and I called it the National Death Service.
Yeah.
And that was the home of free speech. Didn't like that.
Were you allowed to say it?
No.
Okay.
They
hashtag RNHS.
Yeah, it's so clever, isn't it? All of this it all belongs to
democracy, RNHS.
And it's like, I'm fine.
When they say they mean the left.
Yes. Well, like our democracy, the left's democracy. But the thing is, I've not experienced. I've seen some pretty dreadful, and I had a friend who had a brain hemorrhage, and the NHS completely missed it for 2 days. And I went to the hospital, QMEH, I think it was, and I was just blown away. It was like a sort of movie set of a hospital in South Sudan.
Right.
It was that bad. Just people everywhere. It was just dreadful. But having said that, I've also had good treatment on the NHS. So I don't really want to, beat up the doctors and nurses, because they're kind of great people and they do amazing work every day. But the political ones, less so, the ones who tweet constantly about masks.
Yeah. The ones that were so busy during the lockdowns that they made all these dance routines and put them out on social media.
Yeah.
They were so busy. But for me, I see a couple of problems, right? One is that I think we should probably move to more of an insurance model. Because I think that people who can afford healthcare should pay for their healthcare. I think the NHS is a safety net for people who can't afford healthcare.
That makes sense.
Rather than all of us just relying on it, because we're all paying for it. Yeah. So it becomes more and more expensive. But secondly, I think the value system has been lost. Again, we've taken Christianity out of healthcare. And again, the church started the first hospitals in this country. And without Christ there, it's become, they've taken on board another value set. So I'm part of the Catholic Health Institute, and
You haven't been cancelled by them?
No, not yet.
Oh, wow.
No, they're sound. They are incredibly sound.
Well done.
So I'm on their board, and what they're trying to do, this is Bishop Strickland and Cardinal Burke and really sound people, is launch a hospital in America where, first and foremost, they train the doctors and nurses in a medical school that is explicitly Christian, so that when they get to the workplace, they're not encouraged or peer pressured into performing abortions or dodgy end-of-life treatment, so that every decision they make is about the well-being of that person based on a Christian morality of us being made in the image of God. So, in this country and all across the West right now, doctors and nurses who may start off with Christian ideals end up performing abortions and killing unborn babies. And we've heard these stories of, babies being left crying to die because the abortion failed, but of course the parents didn't want them, and the doctors think the baby still got to die. It is the worst crime that we can commit.
But strangely, because Trump's announced his position on it,
which is a bit wet.
Yeah, but if he would not get elected on an absolute abortion ban.
Oh, I don't know about that.
He wouldn't.
I think the Republicans are quite sound on that.
Yeah, no, but he wouldn't. The independents, people believe that there should be the public belief is that it's not a child from conception. It's that it is a bag of cells, and that even the heartbeat bills in those states in America have really affected Republicans getting elected. So essentially, he'd be throwing away his presidential campaign if he didn't support a fixed term abortion. And then I suppose you've got to weigh up the lesser of two evils when it comes to abortion until birth, which is the Biden and the left's position, the woke position in general, which is so crazy.
Yeah, but I think Trump's position was there are exceptions, right? So rape, incest, and things like that, and threats to the mother's life. I don't think there are very many cases today where abortions happen because there's a threat to the mother's life. I don't think that happens in the West anymore. And in terms of extreme situations like rape, we should address the issue of rape. We should clamp down on rape, and it is a great evil. But just because someone has been raped doesn't mean that the baby who's a consequence of that should be killed as well.
It's a moral minefield for in so many ways. But I suppose it's, again, the simplest position to adopt is it's just wrong. It's not
killing babies is always wrong.
Yeah, but in the case of a brutal sexual assault or something like that, I can really understand why a woman would not want to carry that child. I can see, but it's dreadful. Anyway, we weren't really talking about abortion because that's just, I think it's kind of
the point is the NHS is full of this stuff, and it's not health care because
you're not allowed
about your health. It's not caring
to pray with people.
Well, you are allowed now because there was a court case that Christian Concern won recently that a doctor was praying with his patients, and they sacked him for it, and he won the court case to say actually it's okay for him to pray for his patients.
Christian Concern are a good lot, aren't they?
They're amazing.
They're really
good soldiers for Christ.
Noble and brilliant.
Yeah,
brilliant bunch of people they are. So. The NHS, do we? But in the same way that the vast, overwhelming majority of the public buy the climate scam, they buy it. They do think we're all going to burn up into a fiery ball of hell.
Right.
They are going to. I think the majority of the public still think our NHS, and it's brave people like Alison who are turning around and going, "It's killing you. Yeah. It's a death service, not a life service."
I do think people are waking up to this now. 10 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to have this conversation. Everyone would be like, no, you can't, it was the idol of the country. But now so many people have had bad experiences with it. And we understand that so much money is being wasted on it that people are kind of asking, what can we do about it now? Which is a good
and
place
they're
to
not
be.
getting anything out of it in terms of in France, they're horrified that you wait 64 days. And they don't, and also it is more than 64 days. They're just lying.
Yeah.
Now. So, I think if something's really not working, I agree. The system, it should exist. It, on a Christian charity sort of system, you would go, those who were wealthy paid more so that those who had nothing had it for free. Yeah.
Well, I don't know necessarily if it's those who have more pay more. I think it's just that.
So you'd have to, though, because not would pay more. Those that had nothing, the people below a certain annual income would receive all medical treatment for free. And once you come out of that level of once you start climbing up the ladder, the income ladder, your contributions to the national insurance are bigger.
Yeah, so it is a safety net, just a safety net.
Yeah.
So that no one in this country goes without any healthcare.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But if you can afford healthcare, pay for your healthcare.
Yeah.
Don't get paracetamol on the NHS for £10 a box when you can get it for 17 pence down at Tesco.
Is it £10 a box?
I don't know how much, but it costs them a lot.
I mean, yeah, it does. It's like the £800 to change a light bulb thing that they've got stuck into.
Yeah, because they've got this whole tender process where it's all, it goes to the NGOs and it goes to the friends of the Quangos of the government. So politicians and their friends are making a lot of money off this, but the British people are paying for it.
And we haven't even begun. No one's really that interested in the PPE scandal, are they?
No.
Which is
forgot all about that.
Which is no one talks about. So, and you mentioned pensions as well. So, what's the solution? The boomer pension problem is that we don't have enough money for them because everyone's living too long.
Yeah, they were promised something a long time ago that we can no longer afford, and so we haven't addressed that balance. This generation can't afford to house themselves, can't afford to not work forever because they're paying for a former generation to have the privileges that we no longer have.
Right. And is that, so will we have paid that off by the time, or will it just get worse?
So we're going to have to work forever. We will never be able to retire and live off a pension. But at the same time, I'm not sure we should be able to. I think we should have some personal responsibility of planning for our future and making sure that first and foremost, families are looking after elderly parents. So it's not always just care homes and stuff like that, but also put some money aside, save and plan for your future. Don't expect the state to take care of you. Again, it's all that paternalism of this nanny statism that we've fallen into. Again, we should have a safety net so no one is left without anything, but think ahead.
And what about that's quite, so you'd have to scrap the state pension essentially.
Yeah.
That would, I mean, are we going to get to that place where you're going to have to scrap the state
At some point, they're going to have to do something about it.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's got the kahunas to, though.
Okay. God, it's been cheerful, this one, Cal. I'm so excited. Is there, at what time are we at? 58. Okay, sorry. I'll go again from there. Well, it's been very cheerful this week. I've really I feel my heart is singing.
Okay. Well, next week we're going to talk about some topics that the people have chosen, aren't we?
Yeah, we are indeed. I'm looking forward to that. And also what have you got coming up in the next little bit?
My holiday, yeah.
You excited?
Have a little break. Yeah, I am excited. I know nothing about the place. I'm going to explore. I'm going to take some good books and chill out. And come back refreshed.
And we'll follow your Instagram stories.
Yes.
Because they you do go for it with your camera once you're away on places, don't you?
Yeah.
You really, really do. Oh well, that's good. I hope you have a really nice break.
Thank you. What's in your week ahead? House hunting?
Yeah. House hunting. I've got to try and find somewhere to live. And also we've got plans. We're sort of doing plans what we're going to do more in terms of the media content, because obviously there's no point in well, now that I'm not even allowed to stand as London Mayor, which, I mean, I still think it's like,
crazy.
You know,
the heavy hand of the state says no.
And also, where's my subject access request from the cops? I asked for in January they've got 20 days or whatever it is to come out with a subject access request. 20 and nothing. And they're like, yeah, can't tell you when we're going to give it to you.
It's shocking.
It's like, you just, you know, I'll just get some heavily redacted document.
The state is not on your side.
The state does not like me one little bit, which I suppose I should take as a compliment. But I was told, I think I've told you this already, I was told by a journalist who I trust and respect, journalist. He said, ask for the Met Police for subject access requests about your name on these specific dates. And that's what I've asked for. Okay. And they haven't come back. Wow. So it'd be interesting to, hopefully, I might get a bit of information from them. They've sort of plucked out of thin air middle of the month, 14th, I think, of this month, to find out what they've been saying and whether Sadiq is, whether his policeman deliberately targeted me or not.
That's another thing we need to get rid of, isn't it? These metropolitan mayors, they're pointless.
Get rid of all mayors. That was what I was gonna stand on. The one thing of like just abolish the mayor. That was it. You know, what else is your policy? None. Yeah.
It's like they get paid. They have these budgets and they have to find reasons to justify having these budgets, and they're just splashing taxpayers' money around on stupid initiatives. Yeah.
Do you see that? It's like Sadiq Khan he's talking about how much he celebrates Europe and European values. And I got this video of this kid, Machete kid, who'd been in Camberwell, just down the road from me again. And he's lying on the ground being arrested. And he's like, get off me, that really hurts. And I'm like, shut up. You've just been wielding a machete.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to be kneeling on your back.
Also, what are European values? I mean, we're part of the European continent, loosely speaking, but we are the Isles of Great Britain.
Well, I suppose, the Enlightenment is European. You don't like the Enlightenment?
No.
Why not?
It's part of the whole problem.
Oh, God.
Let's move away from God and then move to the self, the individual, and make gods of ourselves. That's what the Enlightenment was all about. That's why we're in the mess that we're in right now. It wasn't a good thing.
I thought the Enlightenment was about waking up to the fact that, the beauty. I thought the Enlightenment was quite pro-God.
No, this is why everyone has their own truth these days, because that's what the Enlightenment was
that's
about.
What my truth is, right? My truth is the Enlightenment is a good thing. I identify...
Yeah, because they've told us that for so long.
I call what the period we are in, I call the Unlightenment. So I must have quite liked the Enlightenment. What were the good things to come out of the Enlightenment? You can tell a man who hasn't been to university, can't you?
I'm sure there were some good things. First principles is a good thing.
Yeah.
Breaking down, critical thinking, great things. But we had the scientific method before that, which came from the faith, of course. Where we lost track was the hows and the whys, right? So science was always how creation works, and the faith was always why and the who. But then we twisted it, and Enlightenment especially twisted it into it's science versus religion, and it's one or the other. Science became a religion in itself.
Yeah.
And it's not the case.
That's a very, very well put point.
Thank you.
And I agree with you, as I often do, even if I can't agree with you on everything. Thank you for watching again. It's so nice to see the show being so popular. We got a few plans for it, so please feel free to like and subscribe on somewhere in the screen where Theon may or may not put a button. Lots of love. Bye.
God bless.